Tobago has been also part of, I mean, has not been left out, I should say. You know, unfortunately, some of that has been coming over where we're seeing some of that gang culture spreading over into our young men and so on. So it's not a good thing. And, you know, we had some interesting discussions yesterday on both the Morning Show and GMT about what to do about crime and the strategies that we perhaps need to employ. So we are going to get more into those discussions in a little bit. I think Pastor Clive Dottin is on with us. Good morning, Pastor Dottin.
Morning. I hope
there
so.
you go. We can hear you now.
How are you?
All right, great. So, you know, just getting straight into things, you know, what is your take on the fact that or the comment made by our Commissioner of Police, Christopher, in regards to whether we need divine intervention or not?
Well, we need divine intervention, but divine intervention comes with a commitment to righteousness. You have to have a commitment to doing what is right. And by the way, God expects us to work hard and work smart, all right, and work with love and intelligence. Yesterday at Mr. Kandace's funeral, I was both at the, of course, I didn't have to climb a fence. I was invited. But anyhow, apart from that, I went to the Show of Peace and I met a lot of people. And the sense on the ground is that people understand you have to pray, as Daily Knox said on his program on 95.5 this morning.
Yes.
But you also have prayer. When we pray, is what we're praying for. That is a problem with Christians today. What are we praying for? We must pray for courage. You know, I want to give you an experience of how prayer and faith works. Of course, you know, the good book says that faith without works is dead. I had a chat with Michaela yesterday, trying to comfort her. After most people had left, I stayed back to see the flames die, you know. And I told her I have a 2-minute sermon for her. She says, go ahead, Pastor. I said, you know, I went to Florida some years ago in Miami, West Perrine County to be exact. Okay. Now, I knew about West Perrine County through the Reader's Digest. Let me tell the population this story. It's an amazing story about a guy who sacrificed his life to save young people in West Perrine County in Miami, Florida, USA. Now, his name was Lee Arthur Lawrence. This case took place over a period of many years because the accused appealed. Now, Lee Arthur Lawrence owned a shop, a mini mart. I went there, if you please, and he had a passion to remove drugs from his community. And there was a particular recruitment specialist on the side of the mafia, and he decided he would confront him. In confronting him, what he did is that he started to pull young people away from the drug dealer who was the gang leader. Now, please understand that. That is part of our problem in Trinidad and Tobago that few people want to address, including our, you know, very illustrious criminologists. The gang dealer was the drug dealer. So the gangs benefited from the drug leadership. And there was a guy called Junior that was close to the Lawrence family, Lee Arthur Lawrence. So what happened is that he consulted with the parents. The parents asked him to rescue their son from this notorious gang leader who was polluting the family streams of West Perrine County. You know what happened? He intervened, he pulled the guy out, and the gang dealer, who was the drug dealer, all right, shot and killed Lee Arthur Lawrence. As I told Michaela yesterday, all right, the community was shocked. They were stunned that it would lead to murder. They saw themselves as virgin territory when it came to the issue of drugs, and they united and paralyzed the operations of the drug dealer. But what I told Michaela, it took the death of someone, an activist, one with concern, to move that country forward. Now, Dietrich Bonhoeffer says, when God calls you, he bids you come and die. Where it is right now, if we're talking about prayer, that must be accompanied by sacrifice, by the willingness to display courage by invading the drug gangs. Why it is, and watch Tobago has to be careful because the Reyes Figueroa talked about that. Tobago has to be careful. The disease is becoming like a virus in Tobago in terms of gangs and drugs and what have you there. And the best time to deal with it is now, to nip it in the bud. Now, he spoke a lot of things yesterday, and now we have the situation where Trinidad gangs allegedly are recruiting from St. Lucia. And it's not only St. Lucia. In other words, better than the CARICOM executive is the Caribbean Alliance of Drug Dealers. There is a Caribbean and underground, unofficial Caribbean Alliance of Drug Dealers. And Tobago falls right smack in that because for a number of reasons. You're heavy on tourism. That's number one. Okay? That is heavy. Number two, you're a small island. All right? So that those two areas should tell you. And while Tobago had family life as its strength, as its pillar, if you please, fundamental issue, you have a breaking in the family in Tobago now as postmodernism creeps in, if you please. So that is very important. And I am saying I agree with her, but you can't have prayer without sacrifice, prayer without courage, prayer without integrity. And Ulla has a problem. She didn't create the problem, but she's inherited the problem. The problem is raw cops. I mean, honest cops have come to me and told me, please don't call out their names. And they tell me, listen, the corruption in the police service is becoming, a cause of concern for honest police officers. You know what one police officer told me? And I want to say this. One police officer told me that his problem is that when he's fighting the gang leaders in Trinidad, he realizes he's fighting some of his own colleagues. Could you imagine that idea? Could you imagine where we are rich as a nation? And by the way, all this talk about we need to do more surveys. No more surveys. We have the Ryan report, the Watkins report, the Dioshan report. Man, we have reports to fill up a whole library. So it's to implement what is inside there.
And now you think, are we serious as a country at using this holistic approach in terms of dealing with crime? Because yes, we do need the church and so on to step up as you explained, but it has to be more than that.
I don't think we are serious about crime. And this is a radical statement. I know it will go viral. But I don't think we are very serious about crime. Let me tell you what we're serious about. We want the murder rate to be reduced. Now, we want the murder rate to be reduced. By the way, could I tell you one of my favorite statements? A lawless and indisciplined nation cannot fight crime. So let's deal with that. If we're serious about crime, we might even postpone the carnival, all right, for this year. Because, hello, the streets are covered with blood in our nation. So I want to mention that we're not serious. What we have to get serious. We are serious about a reduction in the murder rate. All right? But we're not serious really about eliminating crime. You see, we have to have zero tolerance for crime, if you please. Why is it? And I come into 2024 with this appeal. Why it is so many assassins are walking free in Trinidad? Why? And Tobago, don't allow no assassin to walk free by you. I want you to emphasize that. Could I mention something, my dear? It's anecdotal, but it's profound. I was in Tobago early last year, and I met a girl who gave her heart to Christ. Praise the Lord. Now, this shows you the relationship between what Erla said and action. The girl gave her heart to Christ. She had 2 children for a drug lord in Tobago. 2 children! And she said, Pastor, I want to join your team because pretty soon we want to open a drug and crime group in Tobago. And I told Dr. Israel that I would like us to establish a rehab center. So I have to come to Tobago quickly. I'm so overwhelmed with so many things. I tell you, she told me, she said, Pastor, I slept with a man that I was married to for 5 years. And the last 2 years, he was trying to kill me. I said, who is this man? She said, a drug lord. A drug lord, by the way, who is still alive and still living in Tobago. A drug lord. No. She told me this. Now look at the relationship between faith and works. Because I told you faith without works is dead. She gave her heart to Christ, and decided that had consequences for her lifestyle, that had implications for her lifestyle. She left him promptly. She moved with her two children. I don't even know if he wanted to be part of that. Okay? And she's now serving the Lord. In other words, if you're talking about faith in God and divine intervention, you have to adopt the lifestyle that He approves of. You have to have the courage. You have to be fearless. You understand? And you have to take a stand. You have no friends. And by the way, in 2024, let us deal with the white collar criminals who import the cocaine, who have compromised immigration, have mercy, and customs. Let us, all right, do the right thing and not only focus on the blue collar criminals, the poor boys behind the bridge who will end up getting killed when they're not killing. Let us deal with the godfathers of the drug trade. In Trinidad, I can't talk about Tobago. A lot of those fellas, all right, have political connections and they surface at election time. And many of them give both major parties money. So you see where we are. So we're praying and we want divine intervention, but we got to stop the crap. We have got to stand up for truth and righteousness. And I want to emphasize that.
As we're getting ready to wrap up our conversation this morning, Pastor Dottin,
Yes.
is there any few words that you want to leave with us as to, maybe where we could start? Because, we're having this conversation so much and, this person says do this person says do that. Should we blame the government? Should we blame, but where should we start as a people, as a citizen who is concerned about making sure that our society is better? Where should we start in making it happen?
We have to start in our own space. I see a lot of people want to be prime minister now. I have to ask the question, what are they doing in their communities? All right? That's a question I have to ask. So I am saying, where I think we could start? Well, we could start with two things. Number one, let us call upon fathers to shoulder their responsibility. The fathers are being replaced by gang leaders and drug dealers. And that is why the murder rate continues to escalate. Number two, let us, I have three ideas. Let us adopt a school, all right? Retired people, people who could afford it, spend lunchtime in some of those schools and help the principal restore law and order. And number three, all right, let us adopt a community. It could be a street, but I want to recommend those three very pragmatic things. All right, let us stand up for right where we are. And all of you want to be prime minister, and I see so many people who want to be prime minister in terms of next year general election. Show us your motion. Tra-la-la-la-la. Show us your motion. Let us see how serious and committed you are to eliminating this scourge that is killing Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Dutton. Such a pleasure speaking with you this morning and
bless.
hearing your perspective. All right, viewers, we've got to go for a quick break, but we'll be right back, so please don't go anywhere.